Allen Iverson always looked like he was carrying something unseen. Welcome to the channel Fame Express, where familiar public lives often reveal stories far more human than headlines ever allow. For many fans, Allen was never simply a basketball player. He felt like energy itself, fast movements, fearless decisions, and a determination that seemed almost impossible to teach. He walked onto the court with a presence that made people feel they were watching more than a game. They were watching identity. They were watching someone refuse to become anyone else. People connected with that because life asks many of us to fit inside expectations that never feel natural. Allen carried a different spirit. He played with emotion, with pride, and with the kind of intensity that made audiences feel every possession mattered. Still, intensity has its own cost. Public life often creates a difficult illusion. Fans see the victories, the applause, the contracts, and the moments frozen in history. They imagine that reaching the top somehow settles every uncertainty waiting inside a person. Life does not always work that way. The loudest seasons eventually become quiet ones. Stadium lights disappear. Crowds go home. The routines that once structured every day begin changing, and many athletes eventually face a question that arrives without warning. Who am I when the game stops asking for me? That question carries weight, not because success disappears, but because purpose begins changing shape. Allen's story has often been described through victories, struggles, and public conversations that followed him throughout different chapters of life. Still, reducing someone to their most difficult moments has never been a complete way of understanding them. Human beings are always larger than the headlines surrounding them. Perhaps that is why people still feel connected to Allen Iverson after all these years. Beneath the public image was someone who lived with emotion in full view. Someone who carried flaws, strengths, pride, and vulnerability without hiding much of it. There is something strangely brave about that. As people grow older, they begin understanding that sadness is not always about loss. Sometimes it is about watching time move forward and realizing that even extraordinary chapters eventually become memories. Maybe that is what stays with people most. Not the statistics, not the noise, the humanity. If this reflection stayed with you, share your thoughts below. And if these stories about the people behind public lives feel meaningful, consider liking the video and subscribing to Fame Express for more respectful documentaries that remember the person beyond the spotlight.